Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe. Es ist Talk und ich habe heute Altiplano Metals bei mir. Ich will im Sommer jetzt ein paar Interviews machen, dadurch, dass ich auch nicht auf der PDSC war und so weiter. Interessieren mich trotzdem ein paar Stories und Alastair McIntyre hat sich bereit erklärt, ein weiteres Interview zu machen. Wir haben ein Interview schon mal gemacht, aber das ist mindestens 6 Monate aus und es passt vom Timing exzellent dazu, denn die Aktie hat letzte Woche, sage ich einmal, fast 100% zugelegt und das ist in einer Marktphase, wie wir in der jetzigen sind, wo die Rohstoffwerte nicht wirklich performen, außergewöhnlich. Umsatzvolumen ist auch leicht angestiegen, zwar nicht dramatisch, aber mich interessiert es einfach, was da los war. Alastair, thank you for your time. I said in my German introduction, we do an interview, I think 6-9 months ago. It was roughly this time, but especially in the summertime, it's quiet and it was not possible that we meet us on the PDSC. So I use this time to can do some interviews, and we have a special time this time. Then your share price going up the last few days more than. In the top, closely to 100%, from 16 cents to 31 in the high. Was there a reason for this run? Then in general, the resource market is not in good shape.
Well, yes. First of all, good morning, Joe. Yes, and thanks for opportunity to sit down, have a chat. And I suspect that you're suffering through some hot weather like we are here. I'm in Nova Scotia in Canada at the moment. But pretty hot, but it's the summer, so you can't complain. You shouldn't complain, otherwise in the wintertime you complain about the cold. So yes, but back to your points. I mean, with respect to the market in general, the junior mining companies have had some challenges over these past few months, both in terms of the share performance. The market's been very soft, it's been sold down. Lots of the conversations around recession, particularly around metal prices in general. So as a result, juniors and even the seniors, of course, have had a lot of their market caps eroded, mostly just simply from that panic selling, repositioning of holdings, etc. Specific to Altiplano, yes, we've had a share bump in the past few days, and I think part of this. The market itself, of course, is at times a little bit liquid. So you're getting movements both extreme on the left-hand side and movements to the right-hand side. But, Altiplano and myself as a CEO, as every CEO will suggest that their share price is undervalued. And, from my perspective, I use those words because, I think we are undervalued. The fact is that we are a producer of metals. We generate our revenue. We use that revenue to reinvest into our business. Very few junior companies do that. And, the copper price in general has been hit, this conversation around Dr. Copper's predictor of recessions. Sometimes I think Dr. Copper needs to go back to university and perhaps upgrade his degree because, we're not seeing that same recession movement that we would expect from the information that's coming into the market. And specifically during the early days of the pandemic, in March 2020, everybody was predicting a recession. And of course, that didn't happen. We went the opposite direction. And in the same discussion now with respect to inflation and rising interest rates pushing us into recession. Will that happen? That's what everyone's waiting to know. And from my perspective, I think the market's seeing that the rates and inflation may have peaked and perhaps that we won't have the excessive rate hikes, the excessive movement in terms of rates and potential, call it recession. So therefore, copper is starting to reposition itself. And, will we see lows in copper or will we return? So I think that's one thing that, the Altiplano share price has benefited from is just that readjustment, that rethinking in the market that, maybe this recessionary conversation is not as extreme as people thought.
Mm-hmm. I'm from my standpoint, I think really we will see, especially here in Europe, a kind of recession, but that's nothing to do for me with the resource. Then we have a shortage on resources, and any kind, not only in Europe the gas and oil we know, but when you think only the energy transfer, what we do. So come to the new energy source or the electric car boom. We need a lot of resources, and we don't have this. So maybe we see a recession, but not really in the particular area of resources. Maybe we are running now in the time where we what we have every 30, 40 years, that we have now a century of bull market in the resource market ahead, like the 70s. 70s was also a bull market in the resource. All the resource stock going up dramatically, and then 30 years they're going sideways or down, and now maybe we are on the edge of the new cycle, super bull cycle in the resource. Then nobody had it on the radar. Nobody is invested on the global scale. Nobody has resource stocks. That's so small. From when you compare Apple and so on, they are 3 or 4 times of all the commodities except oil. That's nothing. But without copper and all the other materials, no iPhone will run. This is what the people always forget.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the premise that should move markets higher. And you're correct. Mining tends to get a bad rap. People don't understand the importance of having metals, and iPhone is an example. And I also use an example that people think a ham sandwich comes from a supermarket. Well, the ham comes from the pig, kind of thing. So that's the importance of really understanding this market is particularly copper. It's not like corn. If you have a shortage of corn, you plant more corn. Next year, you've got corn. This, with respect to copper, if you have shortages in metal, it can take as much as 15 years to bring a project from discovery into production. Sometimes longer. Permitting is challenging. So, if we get this boom in metals, as I believe we will, particularly from the decarbonization and the movement away from, call it fossil fuels, into electrification, that you will have an enormous demand for battery metals, and the driver of all of that is around copper. You can have whatever you want with respect to storage, but it's the delivery of energy that's important, and copper will be the one that benefits.
Yeah, especially I was surprised how many copper they need for a wind
turbine. Yes,
turbine. It's unbelievable. And nobody expect how many metals you really need, not only copper for you to run
and,
this.
And that's where places like China will have a very quick recovery. Now you mentioned Germany, Austria, Europe, etc. in call it a potential recession, movement towards recession, mainly around the energy costs, etc. And that is a stark possibility. Perhaps that is the lone area that sort of stands out with respect to a downturn in the economy, whereas China's been in lockdown for 6 months. I mean, the reason that we saw copper prices fall is because people, especially traders, are very short-term looking. They don't look to beyond what's happening in that sort of second to third day beyond. They see the statistics. They look at the numbers, and they don't necessarily analyze why the numbers are there. Sure, copper consumption is down, but China's been closed for 6 months, and China basically consumes 50% or more of global output in copper. And the US, of course, they will continue to have some concerns around inflation and continue to rise interest rates. But again, that will peak. US dollar is at 20-year highs. So those engines of drive in terms of copper being, the US and China will reflate. The consumption side comes from all three regions, and as you mentioned, in terms of the auto production out of Europe, will certainly help copper.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I really see that maybe you see from the European side some recession in some area, but not in this area, like all the energy transfer and so on. And they need tons. Million of tons of resources, and it's nearly impossible to get some stuff. Then it's sold out, so you cannot get it what you really want. That's interesting. So, but coming back to your company, so I think it's more important. We see, or I think we are on the same page that we say we have a bright future for the copper and the resource market ahead of us. This is, I think, to summarize the thing. So, and now come to a point, what makes your company now special to get more benefit or benefit out of this boom market or ahead of us?
Yeah, well, as alluded to previously, we are a little different in the sense of being that junior mining company that is not just one who's, raising money, drilling holes, getting results, going back to the market, raising a bit more money, adding more holes, getting hopefully better results, and just sort of leveraging up, kind of rinse and repeat. From a raising capital perspective, companies, particularly in the mining business, the lifeblood is capital. So there's always a need for capital in mining. But from our perspective, having cash flowing assets provides what we feel is a less dilutive model. So, we may find and explore, and we will, for big exploration stories that investors want to see with respect to getting upside. And those are projects that you will need to, raise money for typically, because, these can be 50, 100 million, $200 million investments to bring it to a sizable, 5 million ounce or 1 billion pound copper project. And from an exploration story, this is what we like to bring to our investors. And we have that in Pastillas with respect to, gold project in the Maricunga has good exploration potential, district play, discovery potential within, miles and kilometers of existing producers that are in that area, Kinross, Hochschild, Rio 2, et cetera. So that's the exploration side. The real benefit that we bring also to our shareholders is having these smaller scale production stories that we use the cash flow to reinvest in the company, to build mills, to do drilling, to expand our development underground, and to bring on, additional projects that we can use as a cash flowing benefit. So that, Joe, is, in a nutshell, we're a revenue generator, and we use that to basically better the company with respect to reinvestment and provide our shareholders with upside in terms of finding and working on large scale discovery style projects in both copper and gold. Mm-hmm. Copper, we know the benefits, we know the market, we know the macroeconomic potential in copper. Gold's been sort of hit down a little bit, but end of the day, once we see this rate thing slowing off and that policy of the last 3 years of inflating currencies and inflating the market, gold will start to power back up. So we're positioned, in my opinion, very good metals.
When I look to your presentation, I see that you have a lot of projects. Do you think that maybe you joint venture some projects, or do you plan to explore all this project by yourself?
Well, I would say the projects that we have at the moment, I think, from the point of view of Farion, we've brought that project into a good position. We've drilled, we're underground, we've redeveloped, we're at deeper levels. We've got great grades around that 1.8 to 2.2. Now being supported with a mill that we built. Maria Luisa is a project we've been underground for about 6 months now. And we are looking to bring that project to a cash flow position where we will soon be in a spot to expand to the targeted zone and extract material and sell the contained metal. At the moment, we're just doing the development work. We're doing some underground drilling to define where we want to target our decline. And of course, we're doing a lot of more and new geological work on the project, because as we spend more time there, we're finding that this is a very prospective project. There's been other historical areas that have been mined. So we like Maria Luisa, and we were spending a bit more time than we had originally planned, which is great because now we're getting more information, helping us in terms of moving forward. So those two projects, I think, no interest to move on into a JV side, and again, they're a smaller scale. It really depends on if we bring in a second project or third project or fourth, et cetera. I think that, we would consider a JV with somebody coming in, not necessarily with something that we're going to go out with. We're always looking for good projects. We look at projects every day. The benefit of Altiplano is we're part of the Metals Group, and Metals Group is, Benchmark, Thesis, Cordis, et cetera, that, we've got great technical people. The metals group in general has had a great track record of finding great assets. That's the good thing about monetizing projects is when people see that you've done a good job, they come to you with projects. And so, we have a good pipeline. We're always very selective. We just don't take a project and try to get it moving forward based on its location or ability to generate results. We want scalable projects that make sense, and so we're selective in that way. So if something came along from the opportunity to JV, for sure, but at the moment, we do continue to look for suitable projects that we can bring into the company.
Okay. What we can expect in the next 6 months from the news flow?
Well, we basically have recently reported and today, with respect to where we are on July 26th, we'll have a news announcement that we've had a record quarter Q2. That follows up on a record quarter Q1 with respect to our output at Ferion. And we're very pleased with that because we've worked very hard to manage our all of our KPIs with respect to our grade control and costing. And so as a result, we're seeing the benefits of that. And that's very good timing from my perspective, and very good timing from my point of view as a CEO, is that we're moving, we're transitioning. We've been building a mill. That mill was commissioned about 2-3 weeks ago. And now we'll use that to leverage the material that we're producing at Ferion to improve our profitability. And that puts more money back into the company. So that's in a few short, weeks, months kind of thing to get that project, that mill, the El Peñon mill, really up and running and moving things forward and getting the benefit of capturing all the contained metals through a concentrate in copper, which will contain gold. And also we'll capture that contained magnetite, so we can sell, a secondary byproduct as iron. And that whole project, of course, from an ESG environmental perspective, is a very interesting project because we spent a lot of time developing a project that is focusing on water reduction. Chile being a country that's very focused on water consumption, so this project can recirculate water, and so as a result, we will capture 75% of the water from a recycling perspective. We'll produce a dry tailing, so there's no conventional tailings dam, so the footprint's reduced. And we'll also pull out about 40% of the iron from the tails, and so as a result, we have a very low footprint with respect to our project, and being very environmental friendly and focused on the good things that mining can do, and that's at El Peñon.
But the mill itself, or the processing facility, what does it cost to build up this mill?
Yeah, well, this is, again, we are operating a small scale mining facility within Chile, which is 5,000 tons per month for the production and for the processing. So we are very focused on cost. We've used our local team who've had experience in building mills previously. So this is something that we've been able to build for under $3 million. So that's a very good use of funds, and it has taken a little longer time than we had planned, and part of it was through COVID, part of it was supply chain, part of it was getting permits and getting the authorities to focus. As if you recall, in the middle of this, people were just simply shut down. No one was in their offices, no one was traveling, no one was doing anything. But we managed to get the work done. Perhaps not ideal in terms of timing, but end of the day, no significant overages or problems, and that is a testament to our skill for the guys in Chile.
No, but that's good. So for me, it was interesting to see that, or when you see a lot of junior companies, they have nothing beside metal underground, but. Right. This is a question of a hope, yes. So, but when you have a process facility, you have something. Investor can Tangible. See something. You see something, and this is very important. And especially when you see on the presentation that the water consumption going down by 75% and so on. That's a very important thing. Also, the cost for current processing and trucking cost. I think also in Chile the oil price is going up high, and then the tracking costs are going up. So when you can reduce by 75%, then it's a number. That's
for sure. I mean, that is definitely one benefit. Reducing our trucking from hundreds of potential kilometers to 15 or 13. From where we are at the mill is very significant in terms of cost reduction. And of course, inflation is everywhere, so you really have to be managing those costs. But Joe, back to your earlier point with respect to Newsflow. Maria Luisa is a project that we've been working on, as I mentioned, underground, and also historic producer, and we're redeveloping that project. We're underground on a decline by about, say, 330 meters. We're close to our targeted area, which we will send in crosscuts and then begin mining along subdrifts to take out gold-bearing material and sell that. And we've seen 6.9 grams per ton gold and about 1.9% copper in historical production. So we're anticipating this to be high grade. We're anticipating to generate good revenue. And throughout that project, we've been drilling. We've been defining or using our drilling to help us with our engineering underground. Excuse me. And also, as mentioned, within that project itself, there are numerous other targets. There have been additional underground workings where we've underground sampled at close to 9 grams per ton gold, and good grades also in copper. So that will also generate good news flow. I mean, we will soon be in a position that we can start to look at extracting. Now, underground mining is very complex, and it's not just like building a road and then making a street, building a roundabout, putting a house up. You basically have an understanding of what you want to do underground, but there is always changes, and you want to be most efficient, and that efficiency comes from drilling. And sometimes you need a little bit more time to build that story, to ensure that you're making the right choices, because it's a very costly exercise to be moving underground and building declines. Mm-hmm. So yeah, back to that point is that we see good news flow information coming out of Maria Luisa as we advance that project.
Mm-hmm. So to summarize a little bit, we see now improvements from the production by using your own facility. You save a lot of costs. So not only the production going up, also then the margin going up. Then with the new processing facility, you can save a lot of cost, and your economical footprint going down, then water uses and so on is much better, or you can save a lot of fresh water, for example, to use your own facility. And by Maria Luisa, you coming down close to your target area, and from now we can hope that you coming up with really good numbers, and then you starting also the underground mining and sell this product to the market. So second revenue stream coming out of this side. So for the second half, or I would say for the last quarter of this year, we will see some positive impacts from this both new developments that you do in the last 6 months, I must say.
Yes, I agreed, and we'll certainly see that benefit from Farion and through our El Piñon processing facility that will improve our bottom line. We will be monitoring our work at Maria Luisa, and the intent, of course, is to get material out there as quickly as possible to sell. But it is at this point exploration development, so we want to make sure that we do have the right underground process in place, and then we can, as you say, begin to sell to the market. Now, the third element of this discussion is around Pastillas, and as I mentioned earlier, it's a great gold exploration project in Maricunga, which is one of Chile's most identifiable gold camps. We have been doing some general mapping, some terraspec work, some sampling, some grid work in the earlier part of the year, which is, of course, in the Chilean field season. At the moment now, it's their winter, and so in the high Andes, it's not accessible. So we'll start to see ability to go into that area probably October, and we're with the results that we're starting to see. we'll have opportunity to look for again, possibility of finding drill targets. And that is the ultimate goal with these types of projects. And as an exploration play, we want to use the information we have on the geological side to identify drill targets, and then use that opportunity to begin drilling and hopefully, find good results. And we're in a natural position between the number of majors that are in the region. And if we do have a good discovery, then it's a natural opportunity to find a buyer for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the good thing, sorry, Joe, the last point, the good thing about the fact that again, the money that we've used to invest in the company, we have our own drill, and it's a diamond drill that we've been using at Ferion. We've used it underground at Maria Luisa at the moment, and we can take that to Pastillas, and we can start pretty quickly with drill targets and not have to worry about contractors and their availability and skill sets and of course from a costing perspective, it's much more efficient to have your own crew and your own drill.
Yeah, for sure. Then the people and know exactly what they are saying. Yeah, but this project is more than to sell. Then I see it on the map on your presentation. Around are all the big companies: Kinross, Newmont, Hochschild, Yamana. All the big ones are there. So we speak from a big project, not from a small one, big one. And this is what maybe attracts some bigger company that they take over this project.
Well, indeed, and that is usually the goal of a junior mining company with respect to exploration, is to de-risk and then move it on to major. Mm-hmm. Some may choose to continue the work and bring into production themselves, and it's possible that that's something that we would look at. But everything depends on what information you get from your work and what type of project that you have discovered. Mm.
Then I saw you have also one project in Nicaragua. Do you have some plans there?
Yeah, we have negotiated an agreement with the seller. It's a great asset. It's 16,000 hectares. It's at 12 kilometers of quartz-bearing gold veins. There's numerous numerous targets with respect to some previous work in terms of trenching, some limited diamond drilling. It's good and falls within that sort of exploration, story that we like in terms of large scale discovery type. We're sitting on it and haven't had much opportunity to move forward. Since the elections that came in Nicaragua, it's been very quiet with respect to how projects are moving forward in terms of having the concessions granted, and that's where we're sitting. Is that we're waiting for the Nicaraguan government to sort of grant the final approval with respect to transferring the concessions to Altiplano. And we sit there with a number of other companies who are in the same situation. They've been waiting now almost a couple of years to have the concessions transferred over. It's something that's just we have to sort of be patient and wait our turn kind of thing. Nicaragua has been very good in terms of work that's been done there by Caliber and by Condor and Mako, and permits for drilling, for mining, for development activity is good. I mean, they're a country that has good mining law and has provided companies the opportunity to come in and basically mine material that's been basically discovered from that exploration work. However, for whatever reason, the real bottleneck seems to be at granting the concessions, and that's what we're waiting for. Hopefully, we'll have an answer very soon or medium term. Yeah. But from my perspective, it's definitely something I'd like to see us have opportunity to move forward with, because it's a great asset. Mm-hmm.
But the focus is now Chile. Then you're already there. You have the production there. You have your plant there, and so on. And government, you have no control of it.
True,
so
and I don't want to sort of push that off onto them. But the point is that we do need to sort of manage that process. When we do that, we have people in Nicaragua, and we're speaking regularly with respect to the ministry. We just basically have been told to sort of wait to have patience, and from my perspective, I have that patience, and it's a good asset. And when we get that opportunity, things are going to look pretty good at San Pedro.
One important question always from the investor side: do you planning any capital raise, private placement, and so on?
Well, there's again, the self-funding aspect of things is good from an Altiplano perspective, and in terms of our ability to go to the capital markets, through our previous raises, through the expertise of the Metals Group who have raised lots of money over the several decades, that things would come out in terms of what our specific needs would be in terms of whether it's a sort of management cash flow or management of acquisition, but something that as a mining company looks at, in particular junior, I wouldn't rule it out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it looks like that you have busy 6 weeks ahead of you. So good luck with all the work, and hopefully everything running smoothly, and hopefully Dr. Copper is wrong this time. Yes. From my standpoint, it looks like I think he under-expect the need of metals what we have in the world, right, and see only the interest rates.
Indeed.
But sometimes also the professor or Dr. Metals is wrong, or Dr. Copper, I must say. Thank you for the update. Hopefully we can do it next time, maybe in person. Hopefully I can come over in the fall or in January or March to the PDSC. Then maybe we can meet us in person, and then we can talk more about what's happened at Altiplano.
Indeed, and I'd like that, and of course, I do have some plans to be in Europe and to speak to investors, and Europe's a good place with respect to our story, because of course we have that production conversation being that a little bit different. I know it resonates with European investors, so I would suggest that in the fall that would be a good opportunity to meet with people, and of course you being that primary focus too, Joe. So good.
Yeah, especially your story is really more what the European wants. You have a production, you have something. A lot of juniors, yes, they have hope. You said before, yeah, hope, and hopefully also good drill results. But hope is not really where you should invest your money. Sometimes it's good when you get out from the hope also some results. Yeah. And you're a perfect fit, or in the middle of them, that you have this blue sky potential, and you have also this production, so you can make money out of your own, and you are not always looking for new financing rounds. And I think this is a major problem what some juniors has, that they are always looking for the next financing round.
Excellent, well said.
Ja, es war ein Update von Altiplano. Da steht es schon mal ganz wichtig. Altiplano ist part of the Metals Group, und Metals Group ist bei uns ja relativ bekannt. Benchmark zum Beispiel. Dann haben wir mit Jeremy schon ein Interview gehabt über Thesis, die auch sehr erfolgreich sind, die in demselben Trend sind, vor allem im BC oben. Also wirklich, die machen einen super Job, haben gute, sensationelle Kontakte auch zu den institutionellen Investoren. Altiplano ist ein bisschen anders, denn Altiplano ist schon in Produktion. Wir haben es auch letztes Mal gesagt, sie sind in Produktion. Er sagt, sie müssten auch heute ein neues Quartalsergebnis bringen vom zweiten Quartal. Ich nehme mal an, das ist nicht, weil nämlich, das ist die Präsentation vom Juli, da war das zweite Quartal ja noch im Laufen. Rekordquartal soll es rauskommen. Und sie produzieren zwar noch, ist Small-Scale Mining, ganz klar, aber sie produzieren einen Umsatz und sie produzieren einen Cashflow, und diesen Cashflow nutzen sie für ihre nächsten Projekte. Was spannend ist, sie haben eine neue Process Facility gemacht mit 5000 Tonnen pro Monat, ist nicht viel, aber sie können damit einen Haufen Kosten sparen, und Kosten sparen ist gerade in diesem Umfeld extrem wichtig. Um ein Drittel der Kosten können sie ungefähr runterfahren. Das fängt bei den Tracking-Kosten an, also dass sie Transportkosten 75% Frischwasser, Water ist wirklich ein Problem in Chile, das ist deutlich nach unten gegangen und so weiter. Und was auch jetzt ein neuer Produktionsstream, der rauskommt, ist bei Maria Luisa. Die sind jetzt dort in dem Area reingestoßen, wo sie anfangen wollen zu produzieren. Das ist eine alte, hochgradige Mine, die teilweise eben 2% Kupfer oder mehr gehabt hat und 6-7 Gramm Gold. Sie sind jetzt in dem Target Area drinnen und werden dort jetzt mit der Produktion starten. Das heißt, wir sehen fürs zweite Quartal vor allem extrem, oder zweite Halbjahr, so muss ich sagen, zweite Halbjahr, sehr viele Änderungen. Das erste Mal ist, dass von der Processing Facility die Daten besser werden, natürlich, weil sie eher Einnahmen und das, wie es ja so schön gesagt hat, die Bottomline. Und der zweite Revenue Stream von Maria Luisa wird starten. Und sie haben das sozusagen das Blue Sky Potenzial. Ich habe es gesagt, vorher, die Company hat beides, Blue Sky Potenzial plus eben die Produktion von der Small Scale. Und das ist das Pastillas Projekt, wo sie inmitten von den ganz Großen siehst, ob das Kinross ist, Yamana ist, ob das Newmont ist, Hochschild ist, die sind sozusagen umkesselt und sie wollen das jetzt bohren. Sie suchen jetzt die Bohr-Targets und werden das auch bohren mit ihrem eigenen Bohrgerät und einer eigenen Crew. Das ist auch ganz wichtig, damit können sie auch Kosten sparen. Und ja, San Pedro in Nicaragua, da müssen sie jetzt ein bisschen warten, weil das Government ist relativ langsam, was die Genehmigung betrifft. Also es wird ein spannendes Halbjahr, ja, das gesagt, der ist in Europa im zweiten Halbjahr, vielleicht gibt es auch dort die Möglichkeiten, dass er sie irgendwo präsentiert. Do you have concrete plans for the second half year to come to Europe, to go to some conferences and so on?
Yeah, I would say that that my interest is certainly to go. I've yet to narrow down which conferences I would look at, but there will be the Minds of Money, of course, in January, but that's London. But I do have a specific interest to be in Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, so that I need to figure that one out.
Okay, perfect, sounds great. Ja, das war's, ein Update. Heute ist der 26. Juli 2022 und ja, wir werden schauen, dass wir in 6-9 Monaten wieder ein Update machen und schauen wir mal, was da tatsächlich jetzt dann produziert worden ist und was auch bei der Maria Luisa rauskommt. Ja, das war's, ein Update. Thank you for your time and good luck with all your work, what you have or you planned for the second half year. And good luck with them, and hopefully we see you next time in person, and then we can do also an interview in person.
Thank you, Joe. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.